Keith and I know each other a little too well, perhaps. He literally lives next door to me, and I have to remember to wear clothes that are appropriate because he can see straight into my kitchen. But Keith has been a wonderful friend to me. I have trees that fall in his yard and he cuts them up. When my pipes freeze, he lets me come take showers in his house. He has been a wonderful friend, and I'm delighted to be here with him and with all of you this morning. So I am Presbyterian, I'll claim that, but there's a couple other Presbyterians in the room. You heard my mother, thank you for standing up for me. I did in fact graduate. She's visiting from Atlanta and is here this weekend with me. And I know a couple of you out there. I'll claim the other Presbyterian in the room, Miss Ann McKee, Reverend Ann McKee. I'll claim her as Presbyterian. You can claim her too, but she's also a Presbyterian with me. And I know Jay, and I know a couple other people through Justice Knox. I've been to your church once before for a Justice Knox meeting and got to know a few of you, and I am really excited to be with you this morning. Let's start with a word of prayer. Oh God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in your sight, you who are our rock and redeemer. Amen. And so our scripture this morning that I'll be preaching on comes from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 7, verses 24 to 37. It's a tough text, so listen carefully. Jesus set out and went away to the region of Tyre. He entered a house and did not want anyone to know he was there. Yet he could not escape notice. But a woman whose little daughter had an unclean spirit immediately heard about him, and she came and bowed down at his feet. Now the woman was a Gentile of Syrophoenician origin. She begged him to cast the demon out of her daughter. He said to her, "Let the children be fed first, for it is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." But she answered him, "Sir, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs." Then he said to her, "For saying that, you may go. The demon has left your daughter." So she went home, found the child lying on the bed, and the demon gone. Then Jesus returned from the region of Tyre and went by way of Sidon towards the Sea of Galilee in the region of the Decapolis. They brought to him a deaf man who had an impediment in his speech, and they begged him to lay his hands on him. And so he took him aside in private, away from the crowd, and put his fingers in his ears, and he spat and touched his tongue. Then looking up to heaven, he sighed and said to him, "Ephphatha," that is, "be opened." And immediately his ears were opened, his tongue was released, and he spoke plainly. Then Jesus ordered them to tell no one, but the more he ordered them, the more zealously they proclaimed it. They were astounded beyond measure, saying, "He has done everything well. He even makes the deaf to hear and the mute to speak." Friends, this is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. By now, I'm sure that many of us have seen that polarizing ad and commercial that came out this past week. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. A brown face with deep, penetrating eyes gaze at us. And across his face are the words, "Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything." Former NFL player Colin Kaepernick stars in this ad, no longer employed because of his incredibly divisive and bold gesture to kneel during the national anthem in protest to the way that Black Americans are treated in our country. Instead of bending to the will of many, with threats and immeasurable anger from across the country plaguing this man for his unmoving stance, it is his persistence that above all else has certainly earned his notoriety. For he embodies, for many, this call for justice, his call to speak out in this unique way, which ultimately made him lose his job. Now, whether you agree with this gesture or not, whether you believe he is right or not in this particular effort, I admire his stubbornness, his persistence, and his tenacity. His belief that he has no choice but to stand before his own people and declare that we need to change, that we must see justice.